Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today I'll talk about my fourth and final update for the Walking Calamity Demon Shaman. This update will be talking about multi-divine purchases after you've already got the baseline of the build, which we talked about in the last 3 updates. So we're talking great uniques, lineage support gems, and this is where min-maxing comes in and a little bit of extra boss tech. We got Olroth's life flasks to solve our defense even better. We got a Ancestral Cry setup, which you can even do if you don't really want to put divines into. It's kind of just free. Now some quickie info about my planners. If you want to follow the latest Demon Bear Shaman, if you already have the Fury of the King, you always want to follow the Demon Bear Shaman endgame guide, otherwise the Walking Calamity Bear Shaman guide. There will be a full max roll guide out probably somewhere at the end of the week, so 2 to 3 days from whenever this is posted, which I will link down below in the description once it's ready. But for now, these are the planners we're working with. The Demon Bear, and then before that you have the non-Demon Bear. Not all that much changes other than the playstyle. Obviously, you're going to use Furious Slam with Maul instead of the Molten Crash ability because that is native to the Fury of the King unique. Now, first thing is focus on Chaos Res for Abyss. You will see that I have capped Chaos Resistance, and it is a crazy difference. If you think about how resistances work, the difference between you having 0 and 75 res is you take a fourth of the damage, especially against some of these pesky Abyss dots. That is simply ridiculous. And even going from 50 to 75, you take half. Now, Chaos Res gear is very expensive, which is why you have another option, which is how I get all of my Chaos Res. If you look at this here, you have Takati, which is this one right here. It does cost, I think, 20x or something. Yeah, around about 20x per 11 Chaos Res that you want. But the alternatives are just not that great anyways. The only exception is you really want that +4 maximum rage from the helmet. Then we have the Ancestral Cry setup, which Ancestral Cry makes it so your steps are counted as slams, and the slams proc the fissures. So in the background, you will see that I run over fissures and they just get activated again and again and again. And this is pretty much just free. Now, Ancestral Cry is a glory skill, just like Walking Calamity, but instead of gaining it from rage, you get the glory by igniting enemies. So when you get into a map, you can't use it immediately. That is normal. But once you start igniting, you will see the difference, and then you will get the steps. Now, this one lasts for round about 40 to 50 seconds. Do note that it expands endurance charges. So you get endurance charges from the bear, right? From the bear form passively. So if you press it when we have 3 endurance charges, it's going to be up for like 50 seconds. And in order to proc it, we use Ferocious Roar. So whenever you see your glory fill up, it's like this yellow thing right here. You kind of have to get used to it a little bit, but you will see it in time. So I have it passively filled up because of the Fury of the King, which is nice because I can show it to you in hideout right now. I'll just press E and you can see it right here. It's obviously very low, but you can see these volcanic steps. And then if I put these down, yeah, you can see right here. This is what happens. And that's a lot of damage, and it's especially impressive in stuff like Abysses and Breaches. Supported with it, I have prolonged duration, so you don't have to click it as much. I have magnified area 2, just to make it a little bit more cozy, and then efficiency 2. If there's some tech in the future that's going to pop up, you can definitely remove the efficiency. Now, then we have Olroth's Resolve, which I replaced my Life's Flask with. It also has instant recovery, so it does work with the belt. It will also restore you 1,104, actually more. You can see it right here. It will recover 2,189 life and energy shield. It scales with increases to flask effect from herbalism and from the tree and whatnot. And it's also instant recovery, but on top of that, it also gives you guard, which is another shield. So on top of the 2k life, actually more if I have an endurance charge, 2.8k energy shield, we're also getting another 2k, and that is up always. The only thing you have to know is you cannot press it if you're at full life, so that's why you don't want to perfectly recover, right? Like while I'm walking around, I can easily press it. Now, obviously, if you get hit on life, that's fine, but it is nice to know. This is a crazy defensive upgrade. I barely see my HP bar move ever, even during hard abysses under Delhi. Another thing I almost forgot to add is my charm setup. I'm now using triple unique ones. The first one is Nascent Hope. Now, whenever it gets used, so you're frozen, it will restart energy shield recharge, which is not that important usually, but it is just a freebie, right? And it's not very expensive, so why not? For Utopia, gives me, whenever it gets activated, I get double armor effectiveness, which is quite nice whenever it happens. And Sanguis Heroim I already had, that gives me Consecrated Ground, which is a little bit of extra recovery. Then we have some Lineage Gems. If you don't know, Lineage Gems are gems that you can only use once in total in your setup, and you have to kind of think about where you put them. Right now, I'm actually using 4 in total. The first one we already talked about, Bataillier's Vengeance, but then there's also 2 more. So in my main setup, I'm using, as you can see right here, I'm using Zoph's Pyre. This one is super nice. It gives you extra chaos as fire, which is round about 20% more damage or so. It's not a crazy support, but it also gives you chaos damage works towards flammability, so that makes it a little bit easier to proc your Ancestral Cry for your setups. The second one is Rigwald's Ferocity, and this one is a little bit more tricky. It gives you a bonus if the skill is in weapon set 1, and it gives you a bonus if the skill is in weapon set 2. We want the weapon set 2 bonus, which is 30% more damage and 10% reduced attack speed. As far as we know, this has been tested by a few people. Right now, I don't think attack speed actually works with Calamity, so I don't think this has a downside. And even if it had a downside, and it comes out later, it's still like 23-24% more damage, which is better than most other things. You need to make sure, though, that your Fury of the King is in weapon swap 2. So right here, and then you're off, like weapon set 2, and weapon set 1 is something we're going to talk about a little bit later in the video. Make sure that is happening, otherwise this is actually a downside. So you go here and you allocate it to only weapon set 2 and make sure that all the other skills you need in weapon set 2 also follow. Some small things I changed is I went for the Pharaoh's Rune of the Hunt just for 50% increased attack damage against rares or uniques, and then I already talked about the +4 maximum rage. Both of these have a limit to 1, so yeah, you can only use 1. Important to note, every bit of movement speed on this build will make a huge difference, so get your 35% movement speed boots as soon as possible. Obviously, you still want rarity, res if you can, otherwise maybe skip out on the rarity to make it a little bit cheaper, but that is 5% extra movement speed because 30, probably most of you guys have 30 right now. That's a big deal. And then also 5% movement speed for the Pharaoh's Rune of the Chase. This one used to be like 10 divines or so, but I can tell you it isn't anymore because it's now limited to 1, so people can only use 1. So it's actually quite affordable. And then let's talk about weapon set passives. If you don't know, you can allocate up to 24 points in weapon set 1 and weapon set 2, and it swaps normally. So for example, right now, if I press a button, right, I press F, this will activate my 1 weapon set, and then I press something else. I don't know if I can do this right here. Can I do it with this maybe? Yeah, then it will deactivate and the green ones will activate again. And you can set them by clicking this button right here. And I'll show you how to do this in a second, but the TLDR is this. On our offhand, we want a Whispering Ice. This is only there to activate the exposure, which gives enemies up to 60% reduced resistances. Do note that against bosses, which is the only time you're going to use this, you get less exposure effect on unique monsters. So it's actually only -30. However, you can scale this with exposure effect from here and these 2 small nodes. And this will overwrite the weaker exposure from your weapon, which is still up while you're clearing. You're never gonna do anything with this, but it's still up while clearing. But against bosses, you have that 45 exposure in total. Now, this staff, the rest does not matter. Forget anything else. Like the only roll that matters is the bottom roll. We're not even using Ice Storm or Heart of Ice. You just have to use it with any spell. And for that spell, we're not using the Ice Storm that it gives us. We are using Thunderstorm because it has a lot of extra effect. First, it's up for longer. So if I put it down right here, you can see that it has better AoE and it's going to be up for, I think, 24 seconds. So you can pre-throw it on a boss and just chill there as long as the boss doesn't move out of it, right? So that's really good. It also gives you 60% more shock buildup, which will happen because of one of the supports right here, Shock Conduction. It just gives you free shock. It's completely ridiculous. We go Prolonged Duration, Expand for the extra AoE. You can see right here, 3 charges, 30% per. That's another 90% AoE. Just makes it nice if the boss is moving a little. And then Rapid Casting just to let it be a little bit more comfy. And the other thing we're putting on weapon set 1, once again, you have to put both of these on weapon set 1. I actually forgot about this one. Only weapon set 1 is Elemental Weakness. For this one, it's just another minus resistance. And yes, enemy resistances can go below 0. Penetration can't go below 0. Resistances can. So you can get a pinnacle boss to like -70 res or something. Pretty straightforward, minus res, you get extra curse effect, you get cursed ground. So what you do here is, I have it on QQ, you put it down, it's a huge AoE. So yeah, even if the enemy moves, it's usually not gonna matter. That's the cursed ground support right here, prolonged duration, and then also magnified area. Now this setup with Thunderstorm and LE weakness, you only wanna put down really on pinnacle bosses, because usually in the map, you're not gonna have too much time, right? I know you already have to prep your walking Calamity, right? You might have to prep your Ancestral Cry. You might wanna pre-throw some fissures out. So I know it's gonna be hectic. You usually will not need it. But this depends on you. Some of you guys are more button savvy. I personally like less buttons, but I had the skill gems and GG gives this to us, so why not? I'll quickly show you what to do with the weapon set passives. All you have to know is while you're in your staff, you're not in a form. So all your shapeshifting nodes are completely worthless, and it's not here to deal damage. You're just here to debuff the enemy. So everything you do while in this form, you don't need any damage. While you're on the talisman, of course, you want all your damage. Now I'll show you how to allocate your points the right way. All you need to know is that your weapon set 1 has your staff. This one's just there to debuff. You're not in a form, you're not a bear, right? And you're only using it in very rare occasions, but in those occasions, your shapeshift stuff isn't up. So what you want to do is unspec out of the 3 shapeshift nodes. We'll get it back in a second. I'll show you how. So that means we'll be doing weapon set 1 and weapon set 2. First, we're going to refund passives. So you will see me refund all of these points. This cluster. Now, it does work differently, but don't worry about it. It's sometimes bugged, so I'm just going to do it this way. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. I'm just going to unallocate all. Now you can see right here, I have 23 points, which I can now allocate between, or split between weapon set 1 and weapon set 2. And I'm just going to take one more. I'm going to take, I don't know, this. It also doesn't matter. We're not here to deal damage. And now you're going to split it up. You say, oh, my weapon set 1 is where I have my Whispering Eyes. That's for debuffing. So you click on this and now it will appear green. Now do make sure that you just get enough strength to fill the strength requirement on the 2. And then the rest is just going to be int, depending on what Whispering Ice you got. Int. And we're just pathing over to the exposure effect. Now we get in there, boom, boom, 30% exposure effect, 10, 30, 10. After that, what I like to take is just for comfiness, a little bit of extra area of effect for spell skills. So I go here and then I take these 3 points. Actually, I think I was wrong. Only 2 points, right? Yeah. Only 2 more points, and you go for the AoE right here, Radial Force. So AoE here, AoE here, here. So now you can see that on weapon set 1, where your Whispering Ice is to debuff, you have this red outline, which only is in effect whenever you press your Thunderstorm, which is allocated on 2, or your Elemental Weakness. On weapon set 2 is where your Talisman is. So that's where we just, well, you guessed it, just refill the points back in. All the points that you had are coming right back in. All the damage, nothing changed, right? The only thing that changed is that now while you're pressing your debuffs, you're getting exposure effect and you're getting AoE. And whenever you don't, you don't. That is basically how the weapon swap stuff works. So we have a total of 23, and the last point was right here. And you can see this green outline for weapon set 2. Now, another quickie thing on my list is the Walking Calamity bug discussion. They recently fixed a bug regarding Walking Calamity not working with offhand. And I can just tell you right now that from my testing, which has cost me like 2 or 3 hours, it does not work, or the tooltip DPS is completely bogus, right? So what I think is happening is the shapeshift skills do not work at all if you weapon swap with a Walking Calamity setup. So the idea would be this. You would put Walking Calamity instead of Ice Storm. You would put Walking Calamity on this weapon set and pick all the duration nodes, then swap and you get all the duration for free. But it actually, I don't think it works, at least from my feelings, because I unspec'd a lot of nodes and all of a sudden I did like half the damage. And I think that these are bugged, and a lot of other people have also talked about this. The tooltip would also confirm the same, and a lot of other people have said that. So just so you know, if in the past that ever gets fixed, yes, there is a way to get like 40-second duration on your Walking Calamity. It is nice, but I think it is currently bugged, and for me, I lost a ton of damage, so that's why I'm not going to cover it in this video. But that's about all I got for today, and maybe I'm gonna do some fine-tuning over the next few days, and I will be putting out a YouTube guide as well as a max roll guide. So if you wanna follow that, or you were just following along and you start this weekend maybe, or you're still in campaign, then definitely look forward to that. Overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. I'm definitely going to play 1 to 2 other builds, but I'm still not finished with Bear. Obviously, I'm going to min-max it a little bit more, get some gem levels. I saw I still have like level 19 gems and whatnot, so that's definitely happening. Either way though, if anything else comes up over on twitch.tv/Palsteron, you can ask me there. And yeah, hope you guys enjoying your Slam Bear. And with that being said, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.